Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. We're on season 5, episode number 37. Andy, tonight is the Songs edition, Andy.
Yes.
We're your hosts, Dan and Andy. Today is July 18th, 2024. And as usual, we do an album review, a musician overview, something like that, followed up by local concerts, tours, and musical notes.
Usually we do a band from the 80s. Tonight we're doing a band that, in my opinion, influenced most of the bands in the 80s.
Yeah, this is going to be good. I'll bring it up here, but one of my personal major influences growing up, I think yours maybe too, but maybe not as much, but maybe I was a big Led Zeppelin is the focus tonight. Led Zeppelin. And so there's the album. It's their debut, right? Debut album, also called in some circles Led Zeppelin 1. Led Zeppelin 1. And so here we'll get into the details here. It's a debut album by English rock band Zeppelin, released 1969 in the United States, January of 1969 on Atlantic Records. So this album, Andy, was very interesting because you almost have to start with the Yardbirds first. The Yardbirds was the band that had
Clapton.
Clapton was the original lead guitarist. Then they had Jeff Beck. Then they get Jimmy Page. And then they kind of disband. Two of the members, the founding members, went off and formed another band called Renaissance. The third member left and said, hey, I want to go into my photography career. I'm out. And Jimmy Page, you're left. In fact, we'll give you the rights. We'll give you everything, the paperwork. Just do what you need to do. And he quickly realized that their deal with Atlantic required one more album to be produced. So he was under contract to make one more album. So my impression of this, Andy, and this is all new to me, so correct me if I'm wrong, but he got John Paul Jones together, a bassist, which was kind of a longtime veteran session guy.
Yep.
Robert Plant was, a young 20 years old at the time, and John Bonham on drums. And I think he got these guys together and said, hey, let's jam out, have some fun. Let's put together some blues, mainly cover songs. And let's put this together over 2 months, record it, and get it out there. We need a name for the band, but let's get it out there. We'll put it out on Atlantic, and that'll count, and that'll close the books on this whole Yardbirds from a business fiasco, and it'll close the books. They said, okay, let's call ourselves Led Zeppelin, blah, blah, blah. They put it out. Is that your take on this?
Kind of, yeah. And to a point, I respect the fact you didn't keep the name Yardbirds and kind of throw those guys under the bus on it.
I agree, yep.
That was a smart move in a way, because if you would have done that and it would have blown up huge, they might have come back and said, hey, wait, we want back in.
Yes. And so they provided him the rights and granted him everything from a business standpoint. So there could be no lawsuits per se. But if they would have taken off big, they would have come back and says, hey, let's get some legal guys together. Maybe we can kind of ride the coattails here a little bit. But no, the ties were cut. Yardbirds were huge. We never have done a review, I don't think, on them. Jimmy Page is a master musician, a genius, and these guys that he picks and basically plucks out of a lineup becomes one of the best rock bands of all time. I get a kick out of that. So here we go. They released this album. First song, Good Times, Bad Times. Great song, of course. Then it's Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. That's a blues cover song.
Yes.
From Ann Breeden. And then You Shook Me, an old Willie Dixon blues song. They put their own spin to that. And then Dazed and Confused, inspired by Jake Holmes, another really good song. So when I was a high school, kid, I thought these were all original songs. Didn't know the backup to this, didn't know the covers, didn't know the history. I just thought these are some great music. Found out later that Hardly was original themselves. Then Your Time Is Gonna Come, Black Mountain Side, Communication Breakdown, and I Can't Quit You, Baby. So they put the songs together. It's a pretty simple album, and release it. Now, back then, the albums, when you go to a record store and you got them, you made LPs, your option at the store was to buy the stereo version or the mono version.
Yep.
I never knew that. This was so far ahead of my time that they had to offer both of them. You know, the low end mono and then the cool stereo hi-fi edition. Led
Well,
Zeppelin
like
was
we
the
say
first.
here on the show, Dan, like we say on the show,
We're
we're here
here.
to educate.
We're here to educate. They said we're not dealing with the mono. We're going to release this. It was the first album of all time released only in stereo. They didn't give it a second offering. They didn't give it an
Nope.
optional offering.
Pretty
One album.
ballsy for a first album, a throw together album.
That's the other thing that I picked up from it. And so they get the artwork. They said, hey, you know, let's put this Zeppelin, the Hindenburg explosion from 1937 on the cover, and have it blowing up, and a pretty cool thing. And you know, they said that was also, you know, that was only roughly 30 years ago when they did this. So it'd be like today, hey, let's do an album and let's put the Space Shuttle's Challenger or something blowing up on the front cover.
Right,
It's almost too soon because it's so
right. Or the
new.
towers or something, or
Yeah,
a
yeah,
major
Twin
bomb.
Towers, you know, something like that. And they're like, ooh, well, maybe not. But they did it in a kind of a black and white format here
Yep.
and released it and called themselves Led Zeppelin. So they go and tour over in where? Norway, Finland.
Yep.
They're in Scandinavia, right? Doing a bunch of work and getting this thing out. Come back here, and the thing just takes off. This album is 8 times platinum. Oh, the other question was this, and you're going to know this, is before they changed the name to Led Zeppelin, they were still the Yardbirds. They get these new members in, and they said, hey, let's call ourselves the New Yardbirds. And that's, of course, not going to fly. In 2014, they released a deluxe edition and various things like that. We won't get into that.
And that one went higher on the charts than the original because guys like you and I, who didn't get the original, were buying this one. The new members or the younger brothers or the kids of the original fans can now get their own copy. Plus, those who had it back then bought a newer copy. So,
It's also generating revenue a second, third time.
yeah, because they really needed the money.
Yeah, yes, correct. Now let's see. Where did I end off on the songs? I think I missed one.
No, you got them all, I think.
I got them all. Okay. So
I think the thing I
deluxe.
saw great about this album, each side was 22-22.
Oh, really? Yeah, 44 altogether.
Yep. Each side was exactly 22-22. I don't know if that was on purpose or just dumb luck.
Wow, I didn't know that. So they recorded this September and October of 1968. They get in the studio, they record it. They did a lot of fun stuff with the microphone setups. You know, Robert Plant, Jimmy Page were doing different things back then to get the different reverb, the different echo. They were turning their stuff backwards on the echo and playing it that way. They were trailblazers, right?
Well,
They were doing stuff that no one else was even thinking of doing.
and to a point, they were playing with house money.
Yes.
Let's give it a shot, see what this sounds like. It sounds cool in practice. Let's record it and release it and see what people say.
Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, one of my favorites. You know, everyone likes Led Zeppelin 4. Everyone likes Physical Graffiti and things like that. You know, but this very first one, my favorite was always Led Zeppelin 2. It was my favorite hard rock because it was more heavy. This one is more bluesy, real bluesy, with some rock, with some hard and some heavy rock with the blues overtones. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. That's why this is my favorite Zeppelin, the blues tone in it. And it's one of those that you could just have on as background noise and enjoy. But you want to listen to it. You don't want to like be doing something else as you have it on. You have it on. Not really what I'd call a campfire song where you're sitting around the campfire having a cocktail, enjoying it. You're just sitting at home, just relaxing. Had one of those days, you're having a cocktail after dinner, just gonna listen to a couple songs, just decompress.
Yep, agreed. And also, the tracks when they got into the recording studio were mixed by Jimmy Page's childhood friend Glenn Johns. I mean, a lot of connections here. These guys were really just winging it. This was all new, and they said, "Hey, let's make this thing work. I don't care how we got to pull these guys together. We'll pull in a buddy here, a session player here, another friend of a friend here, and make this thing work." Some of these had a lot of problems with the bootlegs that were floating around out there as well. So this album went to widespread acclaim. one of your it's on all your lists of top 500 albums, top 1,000 albums, top uh, music you got to listen to it before you die kind of stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Brilliant. Here it is. Brilliant. If heavy-handed blues rock offensive is what they put out here, and I would agree with that. And this is really not the true Led Zeppelin. This is all Jimmy Page at this point, right?
Yes.
This is Jimmy Page's band. Okay. Yeah, the musicianship, in other words, really good stuff. The legacy, the success. The one song I was going to go into, where is the song that starts off with the organ? Here it is. Your Time Is Gonna Come. Starts off with John Paul Jones playing a company playing an organ solo, leading into the verse. I went into some of the comments on that song on YouTube and read and scrolling down, and some of the young kids at the time would say, we had a cool organist at church, and we gave her the music, and sometimes before this church service was going on and they were looking for music to play, she would play that. And so it's kind of cool stories like that. It's really done on organ, but it's a really cool piece of organ. Jimmy Page guitar riffs, some of the best. Robert Plant's vocals, some of the best. John Bonham on drums. Was one of the best of all times as far as a heavy drummer, like a Dave Grohl, a Simon Wright kind of a guy. Really beat those things.
And the thing I like about Jimmy Page the most is with him and with Beck and with Clapton and a lot of those great blues guitarists, when they play, it just looks so effortless.
Yep.
It's just like you're tying your shoe. They're just, some guys overdo it with showing the emotion and this and that. Clapton just played, maybe his eyebrows changed every now and then, but he just played, Yeah,
good stuff. Page, same way, very effortless, very trained. It's amazing the way that these guys were trained. But this now band takes off. They're able to go on their own label. And the very same year they released Led Zeppelin 2. After that was 3. After that was 4. Physical Graffiti, Houses.
That's why this became Led Zeppelin 1, kind of like the Super Bowl. It was just the Super Bowl the first time.
There was no 1 after.
Then it was Super Bowl 2. It's like, I guess we can call that 1.
Yes, we can call it 1. But and the money they started with, there was a little bit of a cash, like you said. You're playing with house money. There wasn't as spendy. They got the bill. It said 36 hours in the recording studio. They paid the bill. That was it. It was lean and mean. But whoever would have thought it would turn out to be such a classic like this? But that is what it is. Any other comments on Mr. Plant and Mr. Jimmy Page?
Page and Plant and Bonham and John Paul, they were just great to just listen to. Any of their albums, you can just mix them all together, and they're just. Zeppelin was one of those bands where everybody liked Zeppelin. And you can't say that about a lot of bands, I don't think. I mean, there's a few people, sorry, favorite Auntie Cindy, that don't like the Rolling Stones. There's a few people who don't like the Beatles. There's a few people who don't like AC/DC. But I think everybody likes Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, there's of each band, the popular bands out there, they got segment of people, the Iron Maiden fans, the Ozzy fans, the Black Sabbath fans. And then there's always against that as a big group of anti-people saying, no, not a fan, don't like them. Zeppelin, everyone pretty much likes. Good stuff. Bonham's is the only one died among the band. Or John Paul Jones, is he still alive?
I think he recently passed too, yes.
Okay. So
correct us if we're wrong on that, dead or alive.
John Paul Jones did some work, a couple albums recently with Dave Grohl, some Foo Fighters work toured on those guys as well. That was kind of a dream come true for Dave Grohl and things like that. Back when they performed, it was phenomenal. But he's been around a long time, and he was the older guy when the whole band started. He was the elder statesman, right? He was the John Paul Jones has been a veteran in the music business, a session player for all these years. And then they get this Robert Plant, who was, I think, 19, saying, hey, I'm going to turn 20 next month, but I'm not even 20 years old yet. A young guy. But the fame and fortune that these guys had right at the same time, you get the love, the Woodstock, the whole, the clothing that these guys wore. It was just a lot of acid rock involved with this as well, a lot of bluesy stuff. But
John Paul Jones is still alive, 78 years
Yes.
old.
Okay, so he is the oldest then of the group, but he is still around, long-time basis, and he was a
Robert Plant,
veteran.
75. Jimmy Page is 80.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, because he was around then before as well. But boy, the Yardbirds, that's another one that we could cover either on a special show talking about that group or just one section or one album of that band. But that really spread the seeds of lead guitarists in the rock music
Right.
industry from that one band alone, the Yardbirds. That's all I've got, Andy.
All right, here we go. Dan's favorite segment of the show.
Yes.
Now, the show is called Sports and Songs. And everybody's going to say this is a sports topic. And it's not, it's a songs topic.
Okay.
I think this united our country, Dan,
Yes.
as the worst national anthem ever.
Yes, I remember this last week.
And first of all, why are you televising the national anthem? Why are you having one for the home run derby? I got nothing. Second of all, and this is not a rip on people or anything else, I'd never heard of this person. She's a country singer. I haven't listened to new country in 15, 20 years, so therefore wasn't on my radar at all. I guess she's been nominated for awards. I guess she's good. I don't know.
I don't
got to
know.
be something to be
I don't know
doing the
who she
national
is.
anthem.
Yep.
Here's my problem. First of all, her rendition was horrible. I am not going to play that. We don't do that here. No. Her excuse, I was drunk that night or last night. I'm checking myself into a facility today. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Don't use excuses. You were drunk or not. Who cares? Horrible. Oh, I'll get better now. Oh, so you can be the hero and be on The View in a couple weeks. Whatever. This is why they got to. I love the national anthem. Don't get me wrong. But you got to really watch this better. There's been different memes on this floating around everybody else. How many artists from the 70s and 80s were loaded on stage and sounded awesome? Whitney Houston was whacked out on cocaine and did great. You know, how many hair metal bands we've talked to just they don't remember shows, but they sounded awesome. Where was her security and her management and her people to stop her before this started? That's the other thing. I mean, and I said this tongue in cheek, the NFL will not take this lying down. They will not let someone do something better than them. They will find someone to do a worse job opening weekend. You just watch. The NFL doesn't play second fiddle to anybody.
So why is there a national anthem for the home run derby? Has that always been the case, or is this something?
Who knows? I haven't watched the home run derby in 25 years.
Like you said, why is it televised? Why is it televised?
You can't just show the highlights like next after.
It doesn't matter if you're drunk, wasted, whatever. She was very sloppy, just a mess. Not even really coherent. That's the difference that you're trying to say is that people can go out there and put on a good show and may not be all there and still perform. This was really just
if you're that slurred, you're slurring the song.
This is a train wreck. So it wasn't done good. It was horrible. Now, I didn't watch it, Andy, but I was on my computer the night of that and looking at Twitter to see what was trending. And this gal popped up and was trending for the next 10 straight hours. And the memes that were coming out, horrendous. They didn't know she was drinking, but they figured something was up until the next day we found out what it was. But that was just how embarrassing. Now, do you think that this is a Joe Namath kind of a play?
Yes.
Where the next day you come out and say the right things from your legal attorney to say, I'm going to check myself into a rehab. You know, Tom Bernard did this in KQ how many years ago? Joe Namath.
Yeah.
And whether she does it or follows through or not, I don't know. But I think it's something that she had to say to quell the storm, to make the whole thing go away.
How loaded are you to slur that bad? When did you start drinking? This was at 7 o'clock at night. They're doing this.
So your statement is she's got a team around her. She's got security. She's got personnel. Maybe they did say, look, you better throttle back, maybe not go on stage. And maybe there was no option. Maybe there was no backup in place. They had the contract to do it. And they're like, hey, to go out there and do it. I don't know. I don't know that, but you'd think you'd have some kind of plan B, or while she's getting
we're
drunk.
just not doing it. Sorry, we're just not doing it.
Yeah, we're just going to skip it. I don't think they've always done it for the home run derby, but recently they must have added it, and now, like you said, it's televised. Why would that need to be televised?
Here's the other point. Again, love my country. I love the national anthem. I think they should play it. Cases like this, I'd be okay with it. And you know what? Cases like this, I'd been okay if Fox had cut it halfway through. Just stop it. Why did they keep showing that train wreck?
Train wreck.
Just cut it off and go, say, sorry, audio problems, and cut off and just, Now,
they could also just play the recording and just press play, and everyone could have sang the national anthem. Do you need a guest appearance by someone to do this? It is Major League Baseball. It's a baseball week. This is their kind of Kentucky Derby of the season. And
you think back, though, to after was it the Iraq? When Whitney Houston did the Super Bowl one, and it was phenomenal, and everybody loved it and everything else. Remember that one? The Whitney Houston Super Bowl?
Probably not.
Here's a little inside tip, folks. That was pre-recorded. Start pre-recording these. I would be okay with that.
Then she
have her earlier that afternoon pre-record it. Then she can come out and get all her camera shots, and what a great voice! Yay, you're a star.
Yeah, when it's live, you don't know what you're getting, and it's a bit of a gamble. And there may have been a 5-second delay. There could have been something. I don't know what they all would have done for the television, but it was bad.
Yeah, something. Concert review time.
Yes.
Last Saturday, I was at Floyd. Saw our friends Dustin Bones there. Again, all they do is put on good shows. I think I've seen them half a dozen times. And it's the same set. Am I bored with it? No, because they do, in my opinion, not deep tracks, but they do some other non-release songs. So it's kind of nice to hear those. Then watching Mike Schmidt do the guitar solos is just incredible alone right there too, So another great job by the boys. I guess they were at Pounders a couple weeks ago. They were at Floyd's last week. Follow our social media. We're pushing them all the time. You get a chance to see these guys, you need to go see them.
And they're in costume. They're acting. Yep. They are playing the role.
Playing the roles. Yep.
It is like you're there stepping back in time.
Yep. Other concerts come up. Heartless with Private Oats, a Hall & Oates tribute band, tomorrow night. Unless you're listening to this on delay, then you missed it. But tomorrow night, Uptown VFW. Hairball, August 3rd with Slave Raider and Rival 5, a 21-plus show.
Okay.
Which means there's probably going to be alcohol. That's my guess. Tool with Seattle Rain at Bogart's Entertainment Center, October 4th in Apple Valley.
Yeah, this one I may try to get to this one.
I think Dan's clearing that weekend on his calendar. It's a Friday night.
I mean, this Seattle Rain kind of came out of the show. Friends of the show. These guys are good. 10,000 Days might be the best Tool cover band that you're ever even going to see. And it's amazing. It's phenomenal stuff.
Night Ranger in concert down at the Mayo Civic Center, November 7th. My boyfriend, Jack Blades.
Perfect. Your man crush.
And One for All, the night before, on August 15th, with Queen of the Reich. And we're going to push this until that weekend, until you're sick of hearing from it, and then we're going to push it some more. Check out our friends over there at Queen of the Reich. Check out And One for All. Check out their social medias. You'll see us post it.
So this is really a month from now. I mean, a month from right now, August, Metallica, The Real Deal at US Bank Stadium. And then the night before in Bogart's, Apple Valley, a Metallica tribute band that they themselves endorsed, right?
Them and Ninth Rack kind of handpicked these guys. Say, hey, let's do it. And we are working on getting them on the show, not Metallica.
And Queens of the Reich is going to be doing, the first time ever, an album front to back, Operation Mindcrime, the entire album. They've never done it. And in fact, Queensryche hasn't done it since 2006 or something.
In fact, when we had Beth on the show a while ago, she talked about how they were working on doing that. So
that was always one of their dreams to do that. Very tough to do. They're going to do it there the night before. That's going to be one heck of a show.
And that's what I got, boys and girls.
Yeah, so we got Led Zeppelin. We've got some concerts and tours and some upcoming shows and tributes. But yeah, that national anthem,
Yeah,
that was a bust. I mean, I can't even imagine. And of course, if you want to listen to it, I'm sure it's all over
yeah,
YouTube.
go
Various
with
things
God if
like
you want to
that.
do that, but don't.
But it's a very poorly done. She apologized the next day, trending on Twitter. The next day, I think everyone had since forgotten about it.
Lip service. I'm not saying it was planned, but it was planned. They could have not put her out there, not had something. They could have cut the mic and said, "Oh, sorry, audio problems." But I think you're going to see a lot of other places like this for their big events are going to pre-record it. Or they're going to say, "Okay, we want you out there live, but can you pre-record this first in case we have audio issues?" Wink, wink.
Yeah. And that's going to be, this could have set precedent for all these major deals. But, does it need to be televised is a fair question.
Or you're going to see the more of the whole, maybe not the young and upper comer. You're going to see the more old school guys coming out and doing it now.
Yeah.
You're going to see not saying old school like, Lee Greenwood, but maybe, Lee Greenwood or Billy Joel or someone who's got that out of their system. Someone who's not going to be a fear. Okay, maybe Billy Joel's a bad example on that. People who've got out of system, people are more professional. There, I said it. Send your hate
That's a
mail
good
to
one.
me.
That's fair. I think that's fair. That was very unprofessional is what that was. All right, we'll be back next
Embarrassing
Thursday.
for not only country music, but baseball and just all artists who do the national anthem. Just embarrassing to them.
Very true. Very true. We'll be back next week with another show on Thursday. Have a good week, everyone.
See ya.
See ya.